everybody, this is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and today we're driving the 2022 Kia Forte GT with the 7-speed DCT. And before we get started, I want to apologize if I sound a little bit nasally or out of breath. I've been fighting a cold now for a couple of days, but I am on the upswing and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. So hopefully this is the only review you'll have to get through with me as I take deep breaths and probably have a stuffy nose. Anyways though, this is a really great little car, and this should be a pretty simple and to the point review because that's the best way to have a hot compact. Simple, to the point, and this one does a really good job at that. The Kia Forte just as a car is a really good option in this little subcompact car segment, and just adding that spice, that flair of the GT line to this car makes it all that much better. We've got a couple things on the outside that let you know that it's a GT. Of course, you have a GT badge here on the trunk. You've got dual exhaust tips that kind of remind me of like a Catfish Camaro. They're like really thin and long. And then you also have this rear diffuser here on the back with red detailing. We've got different wheels for our Forte GT, 18-inch wheels with red center caps. You can see that new Kia logo displayed there. Pretty neat stuff. And then we also have a different front fascia with red in our grille and on our front bumper there. You can definitely see some inspiration from Volkswagen here with all of these little red details. Of course, Volkswagen does this with their GTI and GLI cars, which fall into somewhat the same segment as this Kia Forte GT. And this car does remind me a little bit of like a Mark V Golf GTI. So I'm excited to take you guys out on the road and show you what this thing is like. Let's take a look at some of the elements of this car. We'll start in the trunk, where you do actually have quite a bit of room back here. I was transporting some boxes the other day, and I was able to fit them all in here with no problem at all. Normal pull tabs to fold our back seats down. Super lightweight trunk, closes absolutely effortlessly. And look how practical that is. It doesn't go completely flat, but it does open up this pass-through here, and obviously folds down in a 60-40 split, so you can store everything you need to store in your Forte GT, or transport everything you need to transport. And let's go ahead and step into the back seat here. So obviously not very many frills in the back seat of the Forte, but you do actually get your own vents back here, which you don't see in cars like the Civic Si, or I believe the Jetta GLI. I don't think that had vents either back here. So that's a good start for the Forte GT. We've got our own vents. Got a little armrest here with some cup holders. And that's really about it. You've got some map lights. And, well, the passenger side gets a net for storage. But I do honestly have a good amount of room back here. I don't have quite as much room as you get in a Honda Civic Si, but I would say that I have enough room. This is just a hard plastic material that if you are taller than me, I'm 5'11", it might be a little bit tough. I think you could probably get away with having a 6-foot tall person back here, but past that, probably not. We've got cup holders as well in each of the door panel pockets. So 4 cups total back here. And then you get one singular USB port down there under our vents. Little sneak peek up at the driver's compartment here. We will step up there in just a second. Pretty attractive looking interior so far. Leather seats, perforated, and we even have red stitching and detailing on these door panels in the back, which is something you don't get with a Jetta GLI or a Civic Si. So all 4 of these door panels match, which is good. Very, very good quality. All right, let's go ahead and hop up front. We do have keyless entry, but you do have to use this button right here to access it. It won't just do it from you putting your hand on the door handle. Let's go ahead and start this thing up because it makes a little bit of a cheeky noise, but it is warmed up right now, so it probably won't be as loud as it has been. When it's on the colder side, it does give you some pops and bangs, but it looks like it's a little bit too warm to deliver that right now. Yeah. Oh well, we'll hear some when we get out onto the road. Otherwise, up front we do have wired Apple CarPlay on this infotainment. Pretty nice, nice size screen. It's in a nice spot, easy to access. It looks nice, and even our normal Kia infotainment, just normal Kia stuff. You got a nice chill screen there. All of your applications here on this screen. But I like to just stay on Apple CarPlay. It fits the screen very nicely. They've done a good job there. Really nice front seats up here as well. We've got GT embossed here on both of our front seats. Red piping and red stitching up here as well. Unfortunately, we don't have a mechanical parking brake. Just have an electronic one. But it goes on and off quite easily there. Very quick. This is really cool at night. This little GT logo right here lights up, as well as all these little dots. I don't know if you can see that on camera. All of these little impressions here light up at night to give you a bit of an ambient lighting effect. We also have a Harman Kardon sound system in this Forte GT, and if you're interested in that, I will link Charlie's video down below of his sound system review. Kia's been doing a great job lately with their GT and GT line steering wheels. Just from a visual perspective, really nice flat bottom design here, GT logo at the bottom, and they feel nice in the hands as well. This one's very thin. You can wrap your hands all the way around it. I know thin versus thick steering wheel, it's a bit of a preference thing, but I have a Porsche Cayman S, and the steering wheel thickness is very similar actually to this Kia Forte, so I like the feel of this steering wheel. We've even got perforated leather here on the sides to give you a little bit extra grip, red stitching, and then of course paddle shifters on the back to control this 7-speed dual clutch transmission. This one does have the GT2 package, so that gives us these leather seats with heated and cooled functions, power seats, that Harman Kardon system, LED lighting, and a couple of other things. But what you really need to know is that this Forte GT only costs about 27 grand, and this thing is totally specced out with that GT2 pack and the 7-speed DCT. So quite a good choice, quite a good option in this segment. And with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and take this thing out on the road and see what it's like to drive. Because that is, of course, the part that really matters when it comes to a hot compact car like the Forte GT. Quite a throaty exhaust note even at low speeds. Nice linear throttle response. It's not snappy or anything when you're just in normal mode. It's quite easy to drive, and it's really satisfying as well. The DCT is pretty well behaved at low speeds also. You don't really get any jerkiness from it, which is nice. And this 1.6 liter makes a pretty good noise. So under the hood of this Forte GT, we have a 1.6 liter turbocharged inline-4 engine that is, of course, mated to a 7-speed dual clutch automatic. So this produces 201 horsepower and 195 foot-pounds of torque. And you do get little farts from that DCT. I love when cars make the gear changes exciting. There's nothing more satisfying than when a car makes a noise between gear changes. I know it's a silly thing, it sounds silly, and on paper it doesn't necessarily make sense, but it just makes driving the car that much more satisfying. And I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it feels like it just goes into gear nicer. It's such a happy little car, a happy little powertrain. It's not the fastest thing in the world, 201 horsepower, 195 foot-pounds of torque. But it is, honestly, really, really fit for the platform. And these paddle shifters are pretty instant. Nice rev matches there. Also, when you knock the car over into its manual mode, it automatically puts you into the sport setting. It almost gives you a little bit of a push between gear changes in sport mode when you shift close to redline. And you do get a little bit of piped-in noise in sport mode, but it's not a bad piped-in noise. Sometimes it just sounds super artificial, but this sounds like induction noise. It almost reminds me of like a Honda S2000 or an old NA Miata. It is a pretty good noise that doesn't sound super artificial, so I can appreciate that. And no complaints going around there other than there being a gold Dodge Ram in my way with a hideous tailgate light. This is one of those cars that just raises your spirits as you drive it. I love the cars in this segment, hot compacts. I just love what they are. I love what they stand for. The fact that you can have this cheap little economy car for 25, 26 grand, and it does everything you want it to do economically and efficiently. It gets good gas mileage. It's very practical. It's easy to live with. It's comfortable. It's got good infotainment, heated and cooled seats, everything like that. But also, you can drop it into sport mode and make DCT farts and just have a good time. Over the rough ride section there, it's a little bit bouncy, but nothing too bad. And it's honestly really quick. Oh man. Let's do a little bit of a launch here. I don't believe this has launch control, but we will try. See how fast it can get off the line. So we'll put it over here into sport mode. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas here. Yeah, no launch control, but here we go. And there's 60. What was that? I don't know, maybe 6.5 seconds, something like that. Really solid little performer. And keeping on the subject of the versatility of this car, I know that the Honda Civic Si seems like the better option, but bear with me here for a second, because there are a lot of things that you can't get with the Civic Si. You can't have leather seats, you can't have heated or cooled seats, you can't have a dual clutch automatic transmission. You're limited to only a 6-speed manual, and you can have a Forte GT with a 6-speed manual as well. You can choose your transmission. A lot of these manufacturers nowadays, Honda and Volkswagen specifically, really limit you on options, and it's cool that you can option on that GT2 package with this Forte GT. It helps, I don't know, buyers choose what they want. It's nice to have options. God, and this chassis is just so nimble. The steering is very direct. It's light steering, but it's direct. It weights up nicely through corners like that and entrance ramps. And there you go. I'm up to highway speeds effortlessly. And being that this is a Kia, you of course get your really good lane keep assist and steering assist technology here that you don't need to have cruise control on for it to work. So I've got lane keep and steering assist on, and it'll just drive me around this corner here. Just adding and adding to the point of this just being a fabulous daily driver that you could go out at night, go out during golden hour, go out on the weekends, whatever you want, have a spirited drive, park it in the garage overnight, wake up, go to work the next day. It is just the ultimate. This segment of car is just the best. I don't know why more people don't drive these. Of course, there are a good amount of people that do, because they make them, but they're more popular in places like, I don't know, European countries like Great Britain and places over there. Because over here in America, all we want are stupid SUVs, and cars like this just get pushed aside. But if you're watching this, do me a favor, buy a Forte GT. Keep this car around. It's just such a good little car. This is one of those cars where I walk out to it in the morning and I look forward to going on a drive. It's not overdone with frills. The exhaust is not the most aggressive thing in the world. It's not the stiffest riding. It's not the fastest hot compact, but it's just a happy little package. It's good at everything it's supposed to do. This is such a nicely tuned dual clutch. The throttle tuning, the gearbox tuning, everything is spot on in this Forte GT. It feels so natural. I feel pretty connected with this car, even though I don't have a manual transmission. But the good news is you can have a 6-speed manual if you really wanted to. So Kia still has the enthusiast in mind and offers that manual trans for you. So I know I touched on price earlier, but this is usually the part in the review where we talk about price. Well, this particular Forte GT is about $27,000. This has a couple of options on it, this 7-speed dual clutch and the GT2 package. But considering that this thing is essentially spec'd out, think about the Honda Civic Si. It's about the same price, and you don't get all of these cool options that you get on the Forte GT. And the Jetta GLI, you can only now get in Autobahn form with all of the options. The only thing you can pick on that car is your transmission and your color. So at least Kia gives you a little bit more of a choice for how to spec your Forte. But that GLI is even more expensive than the Civic and than this car. In fact, I believe it's just barely into the 30s. So all things considered, this Forte GT seems to be the one to have. You just have to kind of think about if pedigree matters to you. Of course, there haven't been a long line of Forte GTs or hot Kias really in general. They're just now emerging into the enthusiast market just in the last 5 years or so, Hyundai and Kia. Whereas the Honda Civic Si has been around for decades and such rich heritage there. And you know that's going to be a good car. You know it's going to be reliable. You know it's going to deliver all of your hot compact needs. But trust me, I've driven both, and the Forte GT is honestly just as good. I don't want to say it's better, because I don't really think it's better, but it is truly just as good. I'm having just as much fun in this Forte GT as I was in the Civic Si. And the Civic Si is a 6-speed manual. I think, you know, as much as I love this 7-speed dual clutch, this car with a 6-speed manual would be chef's kiss. This car is everything that we're missing from companies like Ford and GM that just don't give us cars like this anymore. And thank you, Kia, for filling that gap in the market. The Americans can't deliver, so the Koreans will, and they certainly have with this lovely Forte GT. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. I've had a blast driving this Forte GT, and I think at this point I've driven pretty much everything in this segment. The Forte GT, the Jetta GLI, the Honda Civic Si. I have not driven the Elantra N line. I've driven the Elantra N, but that's a little bit above where this car sits. So this is a really good choice. I don't really want to say that I would choose it over a Civic Si. I would choose it over a Jetta GLI, and I think right now it's about tied for the first place position with the Civic Si. I'd be happy with either. And I hope cars in this segment stay around for quite a while because they are just so much fun, and they just make so much sense from a daily driving perspective. If you've got a commute, if you live in a city, if you live anywhere, this is a very, very good segment, and this Forte GT is a very, very good car. All right, well, let's go ahead and do one last little walk around of this Forte GT, and then that'll be it, and you won't have to listen to my nasally voice anymore, unless you watch the fuel economy test on this, which I'm about to go film. Then you will have to listen to my nasally voice just one more time, and then hopefully that's it. All right, guys, well, thanks so much for watching. If you made it this far, appreciate it, and we'll see you soon in the next video. This has been Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.